Kern County has a special connection to George Washington. Although a little more context is needed for that statement, you've heard us talk about Darnell Abraham before, especially during the holiday season. He is a Bakersfield native, now playing George Washington in Hamilton. He has been on tour across the West Coast for years now, bouncing from city to city. But now he's in the Central Valley for the first time performing in the show. I spoke with him last week ahead of opening night. He said he is excited to be playing in the place, near the place he has called home, and hopes his role in the show will inspire others.
Hamilton could be considered one of the most popular musicals of our time. For more than 7 years, people around the world have been singing the songs and hearing the story of Alexander Hamilton in what many have said is America then, told by America now.
I think Hamilton is important for every American and for every person whose desire and aim is to protect freedom.
Darnell Abraham is part of the production success, traveling on tour from city to city. But he got his start right here in Kern County.
Tell me a little bit about what it was like for you personally growing up in Bakersfield.
So as a kid, I've always held an interest in the arts, and so I grew up in a very loving home environment, and I remember elementary school, I went to Thorner, Dr. Juliet Thorner's school, and they had a performing arts magnet program there. And so at a very young age, my parents nurtured this curiosity that I held for the arts.
Bakersfield is known for, the Bakersfield sound.
Yep.
But there's not a lot of talk about some of the other sounds, if you will, that come out of Bakersfield.
Yes.
There are different avenues of theater, of art, of music that are not widely talked about.
Right.
How did you find that? One of those other avenues, if you will.
Yeah.
And how did you say, you know what, this is what I want to do? And I mean, all happening in Bakersfield.
Right, so we talk about the Bakersfield sound, right? But there's so many sounds in Bakersfield. And so musical theater, is one of them. And Bakersfield really has a very strong history and legacy when it comes to theater. And so it was really cool to be introduced to that and then to later participate in that.
Darnell graduated from West High School and then went to Azusa Pacific University. Now he's traveling the world, performing as George Washington, even playing the role with Lin-Manuel Miranda, the original Hamilton and show's creator. But for Darnell, there have been some personal challenges playing that role.
You played George Washington. George Washington was from the South.
Yes.
He owned slaves.
Yes.
So as a black man, how does that impact you every night when you're going out on stage and playing George Washington, playing the person that owned slaves?
Yeah. There are a few things that I do before I go on stage, and I will speak the name of an enslaved African American, and that helps me put it in perspective. The fact that I'm about to walk on stage as a black man. I'm the descendant of enslaved people here in America, but now I'm free. Like, I am free, and I have an opportunity to walk out on the stage representing them. So I represent them first and foremost. He was a complex man. He did really good things. I mean, I don't know if we would have won the Revolutionary War had George Washington not been at the helm. And so I want to acknowledge the strength that he brought to this early nation as a leader, as a thinker, but also acknowledging an evil that was performed. Because, we all want to say he was a man of his time. As a man of faith, sin is sin. I mean, evil is evil. I don't care if it happened in, 1776 or it's happening in 2022. It is evil.
When coronavirus forced theaters to stay dark, there was George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, then a divisive presidential election, and the riot at the U.S. Capitol. When he returned to the stage to resume his role as George Washington, there was a new meaning to the songs he was singing.
Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton, they were constantly at odds, but George Washington was intentional in bringing these two great thinking minds together. because look at the outcome of that. But he always led with, let's keep our mind on the prize, let's keep our mind on the goal, and that is in building a country where all of these different opinions and ideas can coexist. And not just coexist in terms of tolerating one another, but coexist in terms of being civil, of having an open mind, being able to listen, you know. And so right now, I feel like we live in a time where everyone's too busy trying to get their point across, but no one's listening.
Now back in the Central Valley, playing close to home, Darnell hopes his role and the songs he sings on stage inspires others in Kern County, especially kids, to be curious about the world.
I think kindness goes a long ways. I think humility goes a long ways. You can be tenacious and humble. It's possible, you know. But I just really want our kids to be inspired, man. To get out, to learn, and to get after it.
And Hamilton is playing in Fresno through Sunday, and the show started last week. I actually was able to go and see him perform, and it was really neat. You know, kind of hometown pride.
Yeah.
But I've also seen a lot of people around town that have gone up to see the show. But again, one of the other things that he was talking to me about was, as he is playing George Washington, with the war in Ukraine right now, he is reflecting on the songs that he sings as George Washington and realizing a lot of this could be said about what's happening in Ukraine. And he says that he has felt that also kind of change meaning, if you will, some of the songs to apply to what's happening in Ukraine. He also says a lot of the people in the audience are watching this and going, wow, this is very similar. So anyways, again, it's one of the most popular musicals around right now. I mean, we've all watched it on Disney Plus. We've been singing the songs all morning long. But it is neat to see we've got a local guy, Bakersfield guy, that is traveling performing these songs.
And I think that's interesting because I asked you, you know, what has it been like for him to be in the same role for years now? But it is interesting to hear how it changes. And the words may be the same, but the meaning changes for him depending on what's going on right now. And so you may see a different show than you did if you've seen it already. And especially with his different interpretation, yeah, it's really exciting. So again, it's through Sunday. I hear tickets are a little hard to come by right now.
Yeah. Might be lucky, but
he is definitely an inspiration for everyone here in our hometown.
Absolutely. And what's also great is he wants to get more involved in the musical side of things here in Bakersfield. So I don't think he's done yet. I mean, he's an incredible guy. He loves that his roots are here in Bakersfield. So I'm sure we'll be seeing him more and more. Oh, and by the way, I can't tell you exactly what is coming, but he is involved in some other projects.
Okay.
So you'll definitely be seeing him around.
All right, that's exciting.